News 97 and 98 News Director Steve Rubo with you. Perhaps you saw in Pere Marquette Township, they've had a cross that marks the spot where Father Pere Marquette died. Father Jacques Marquette, but the name Father comes out as Pere. Father Marquette died in Pere Marquette Township. In fact, it's against the skyline of Pere Marquette Lake, and it's been there for many, many years. And all of a sudden, a group called the Michigan Association of Civil Rights Activists has sent a letter to Pere Marquette Township demanding that the Board of Trustees, demanding that they take it down. They say that they are offended by it and that they can see it basically wherever they go. The complainant, they're saying, finds the cross offensive and distracting. The complainant is forced to view the cross from virtually all points on the lake, and further goes on to say they will sue if the township does not take it down. In their words, they say it clearly violates the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. Government is prohibited from taking any action that has a religious purpose or advances any one religion over others, or religion generally over non-religion. That's the organization, the Michigan Association of Civil Rights Activists. I said, I wonder if there's another side to this story. Well, we welcome someone today named William Wagner. He started a group called Salt and Light Global, and he is a distinguished professor emeritus who taught constitutional law, and he served as a federal judge for many years. William Wagner joining the show today. And Mr. Wagner, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
I'll bet you've heard some of these arguments before, haven't you?
Absolutely. And what you have is you've got groups like this one that oppose and attack religious people based on their faith. And so and most of the time, including this time from the sounds of things, you've got a situation where it's based in a complete misunderstanding of the Constitution. And so what they're going to probably argue is that this cross violates the Establishment Clause. Well, the Establishment Clause actually says that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. So nobody, the Lutherans, the Baptists, the Catholics, the Church of God folks, the Pentecostals, nobody gets to establish their religion as the official religion of the United States. Now, the Muslims can't do it, the Baha'is can't do it, the Hindus can't do it. Nobody gets to establish their religion as the official religion of the United States. At the same time, the second half of the religion clause says that government cannot interfere with anybody's free exercise of it. And so our founders were brilliant. They ended, thousands of years of religious wars by saying, government, you don't get to have an established religion, and where it says that the established religion of such and such is the religion of the United States, and all legislation must be consistent with it. That can't happen. Nobody gets to establish their religion. At the same time, government, you cannot interfere with anybody's free exercise of religion, like somebody putting a cross up, for example. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to say that it violates the Establishment Clause. Well, let me tell you, putting a cross up does not establish Christianity or Baptist or Catholicism as the official government religion of the United States, where all legislation must be consistent with the religious tenets. It just doesn't do it. Now, you're saying, well, where do they get off saying that it does then? Well, there's this judge-made doctrine that probably no longer has a majority support on the Supreme Court, that a few lawyers wearing robes with ink in their pen said, we're going to redefine what the word establishment means, and we're going to say you have to have a secular purpose for everything you do. And that's what these guys are doing. They're saying, oh, you must not have a secular purpose for putting the cross up. I would argue they actually do. They're historically remembering a very important historical figure in our nation and our state. So even under their misguided, judicially made false constitutional law, the township should still win. But more importantly, it's the view of most Christian people and most religious people in the United States that no government ought to be able to come in and interfere with a religious person's free exercise of their conscience. And that's exactly what this group is asking be done, and that's why they're threatening to sue. And I tell you what, if they want to sue, bring it on. And if the township wants to call, we've got a justice center called the Great Lakes Justice Center that's part of Salt Lake Global, and we'll represent them for free if they want to take on a battle like this, because there are just too many groups that have decided, well, we're just going to attack religious people, and we will get this idea that there is an ethical part of the law, that there's any right or wrong or good or bad or God forbid, let's not honor an important historical figure in our state.
You just answered a question that I was going to ask. A lot of times townships and local governments say, yeah, we could fight it. We might win, we might not, but it'll cost so much to fight it. Let's just capitulate. You're saying, no, there's no need.
We're saying there's no need, and if anybody on the township board is listening, have them call the Great Lakes Justice Center, and we've got a team of lawyers that will be happy to step up and deal with these folks that are, the bottom line is they're attacking religious people, whether it's Christian people one day or Muslims or Hindus, whoever they're attacking on any particular day, so that they can pose their own religion of what I call secularism, where they're saying, hey, you got to have a secular reason for everything or you don't get to participate. Well, guess what? If that doctrine had been in place during the Lincoln administration, the Emancipation Proclamation would have been considered unconstitutional under their argument, because Lincoln invoked the favor of Almighty God in the very document that freed the slaves in America. And if good ideas like this can lead to the end of slavery, well, it certainly ought to be allowed to honor an important historical figure like Pere Marquette.
All right. Well, I really appreciate your time, Mr. William Wagner of the Salt and Lake Global. And you said the Great Lakes Justice Center is part of Salt and Lake Global, huh?
Yes. The Great Lakes Justice Center is a legal division that represents persecuted Christians and governments that are attacked on this basis. And we do a lot of U.S. Supreme Court work, that type of thing.
All right. Well, a longtime federal judge that's now retired, William Wagner, our guest, and an enlightening interview right there. Mr. Wagner, thank you so much for a few minutes.
Well, thank you for having me.